So to say, they have lived many lives, but right now they are living the life they always dreamt of being an author. So let me welcome Jatin Pranchpe, who's the CEO and founder of a platform which helps, as he rightly described, it's a platform for sports. It connects venues, coaches, people who want to excel in sports. So it's called Khelo More. You should visit it. And possibly sports can instill a lot. It can instill fitness. It can instill learnings. So welcome, Jatin, to this BW Dialogue. We also have Jatin's co-author and somebody who's been a very eminent sports journalist and editor. We have Anand Vasu, who's now a freelance cricket writer. So we'll talk to them about their book, Cricket Drona. This principally written to learn lessons from cricket, also chronicle the life of Mr. Jatin Paranjpe's legendary father, who is a great coach. So really, it'll be fun talking to them. And Deepak, if you can put them center stage in the middle and you can shift from the middle, it'll be nice. Deepak?
Thank you, Batso. Thank you for having us.
Yes. So first of all, Jatin, how have been the last 200 odd days for you?
Oh, I think like all of us, they've been pretty trying. But at the same time, we have two young children, so getting to spend time with them has been fantastic. I was away with the Indian cricket team on their New Zealand tour for about 46 days just before COVID struck. So I was happy for the first 2-3 months to be at home. Obviously, it's great to spend time with your kids, especially as they're growing up. I think it's time, invaluable time with them. But on the business side, like all of us, we are in a little bit of a tight spot. But things are coming out. I think necessity is the mother of invention, as they say. So we've been able to pivot a little bit, get into online coaching, keeping the house fires going, basically.
Fantastic. So professionally use this time to be able to think new ideas and pivot in your business. Sure. Anand, how have been the last 200 days for you personally and professionally?
Well, it's been interesting. Just as Jatin came back from New Zealand, that was around the time I went to Australia to cover the Women's T20 World Cup. And I was not lucky enough to get back in time. Things shut down just before I was to leave, and I spent 5 months in Australia before I could come back. It was a very, very interesting experience because not something that you plan for, not something that you expect to spend 5 months away. But I was in Adelaide, I was with friends. It was a beautiful city. Difficult to be away from home, difficult to be away from family at a trying time like this. But once you're in a position where you had to just kind of grin and bear it, there was plenty to do. There was plenty to think about to keep yourself occupied, learn a few new things. And with live sport not resuming until very recently, it's obviously been quiet on the professional front. But with the IPL now in full swing, I'm sure that's going to change.
Thank you, Anand. And Jatin, when I grow up, I want to be like both of you. Be in Australia, be in New Zealand, do the things you do. These are fun things. But now let me go to the reason we've met. Jatin, most people know about your legendary father. He's a legendary coach. He nurtured the careers of many superstars, if I may say. Tell us, how did the book come about? And tell our viewers about your father.
Sure.
I know it's always a good thing to ask a son about his father, and also difficult to sometimes describe your father.
Yeah. So I'll start with the genesis of the book, so I have always been a big fan, follower of old school coaches, Dr. Batra. I've always loved the way old school coaches seem to me to have a different kind of commitment towards their students. And when I say coaches, I use a broader term for coaches. I also mean school teachers, and I consider
people who
them
nurture talent.
People who've nurtured talent, and I've always felt that the most important time for a talent to be looked after, to be given direction, to be given confidence is the early years. And all through my life, I have seen and heard my father at work with kids who were just talented kids there, and today are world beaters. And at some level, I wanted this book to be a little bit of a tribute to people, to my father, and also people like my father. When I was growing up in cricket, Mr. Vasant Amladi was my coach, and I've seen him, do so much for me on a daily basis. Never with the thought of commerce in his mind at all. And those days, were impressionable days for me as a young cricketer, and I was seeing all these pieces, and these stories have stayed with me, and I wanted them to be told. My father has always been a very passionate man, a very articulate man, in both English and Marathi and Hindi. He also speaks Gujarati, he speaks Tamil, so to players from Chennai, he will talk in Tamil. To Gujarati players, he'll speak in Gujarati, even to this day. And I've seen his hand, nurture so many players. It's all passion, it's all selfless giving. So I thought, let me for a second, just look at him as the coach, as the nurturing hand behind so many careers. And that's something which I knew that if I was ever going to do a book, it would be with Anand. And very fortuitously, a conversation happened with Penguin, and they said yes immediately. And here we are. And today, as we speak, the book's already going in for a reprint within a week or 10 days of launching. So yes, as a son, you feel nice. My father's always been this unassuming man, a straight talking man, but unassuming about his own self. And he, I think, is a trifle embarrassed at the thought of the book, and then the book coming out and now it doing so well.
And what did he say when he first read the draft or saw the cover of the book? It's called Cricket Drona. It's Drona. So it's about learnings from the cricket. It's about the life of Mr. Pranjpe. But it's also about lessons from cricket, from the cricket field, from the cricketers. And we'll get to that in a moment. Anand, so what did he say, Jatin, when he saw the first draft or the final draft and the cover?
So Anand and I worked extensively with him, with my mother, with a lot of teammates, with the players. So he always had a little bit of a touch, to add to it, which is his own kind of, that's his own concoction. He's known for his sense of humor. So something always comes through, and we always
anecdotes. And anecdotes. He must have so many, and we'll come to those.
So many, and we documented. I think we've done a good job of documenting them. I think we have enough content for probably one or two more books, honestly. To be honest with you. But there is an interesting story about the cover photo. Actually, we did the cover.
And let's
photo.
put the cover once again. Deepak, why don't you put the cover once again? If we can have Jatin, Anand, and the frame of the photo cover in the same frame. Abhay, can you, Mayank, if you've not gone to sleep, please put the book. If you've gone to sleep, and don't put it in the next hour. Clearly, they haven't gone to sleep.
So a very famous photographer, Mr. Rafiq Sayyed, was very clear that he wanted to shoot Dad in his whites, because that's the original cricket, right? So we went to Matunga Gymkhana. A lot of the coaches, at Matunga Gymkhana, you have different pitches, and we had to do the shoot outside Dad's club called Dada Union, which is at the other end of the ground. So he said that he would prefer to walk, and as he was walking from pitch to pitch, you could see all the coaches, stopping their practice, getting their kids to meet him, and it literally took us about 20 minutes to walk from this side of the ground to the other. And there were a few shots which Mr. Sayyed had planned, and we did all those shots. But this shot of the cover photo was when he saw a young left-arm spinner. I think he was a 10 or 11-year-old left-arm spinner. And Mr. Sayyed was following Dad with the camera, and he clicked this. And out of I think we saw some 300 or 400 photos the following week. But Mr. Sayyed said, "Ki Jatin, let's recommend this because this has that that glint in his eye when he's watching something something which can be special in the years to come. So I think the look has been captured fantastically in the
Candid
cover.
look. So it was short, but it's still pretty
Yeah.
candid. Anand, talking to you, what's your most favorite chapter in the book, Anand?
Well, it's very hard to choose one, honestly, because I will tell you when we reached out to people trying to speak to them, and these are pretty much the who's who of Indian cricket. You know, from Sunil Gavaskar, Dilip Venksakkar, Sandeep Patil, Anil Kumble, Rahul Dravid, uh, even to the current generation, Yuvraj Singh, Rohit Sharma. Not one of them had any hesitation in giving us time in speaking to us, only because of the respect they have for Vasu Paranjpe, for the time they have for him. Because these are, you know, some of these players can be quite tricky. I've dealt with them extensively over the last 20 years. Getting hold of them when you want to is easier said than done. But in this case, it was almost like, you know, we were worried that we might leave someone out and then they would feel bad at the end of it. I hope we haven't done that. Because everyone wanted to give something back because Vasu sir was the kind of coach who never claimed that I produced Gavaskar, I produced Tendulkar. You know, in our country, it's quite common. As soon as a cricketer is successful, 5 or 6 different people claim they are the ones who coached him, they are the ones who produced him.
They
But
say success has many fathers.
Yeah.
but Vasu sir is never the kind. He never likes to speak about himself, and he, if anything, underplays his own contribution, which is why others are eager to step forward and talk about it. And that was one of the, you know, really pleasant parts of doing this whole exercise. And the other thing that we felt was quite crucial was that a lot of experience, knowledge, anecdotes, these things are passed on word to mouth. So in the Maidans of Mumbai or the NCA in Bangalore or in league cricket in Chennai, any of these places where Vasu sir has had an impact, people know these stories and they're telling these stories even today. But we're not, sometimes we are not very good at capturing these things and preserving them in a form that can be of use to players, to coaches, to anyone really who's looking at performance, success, leadership. These are the kind of things that we are all interested in one way or the other. And cricket is the kind of, you know, the medium in which these stories are easiest understood in our country, I think. So it was important to capture some of that, what is handed down usually word to mouth, to be recognized in a more concrete, formal, organized form.
Okay. Now let me ask you one question before we dive into the book in detail and hear some anecdotes about what has been shared in the book. First of all, what do you think CEOs and promoters of businesses, entrepreneurs can learn from the lessons from this amazing coach and from cricket? Vasu, first you, Anand, first you. What do you think CEOs can learn from what is in the book?
Well, I think leadership is something that comes out very strongly. It's a thread. If you look at all these players who are in this book, they have been captains of various teams at different times. Captains of India, some of them. Uh, they the importance of thinking as a leader, not just as one member of a contribute as one person who contributes to an organization, comes through quite sharply in the book. It also shows how if you have the right kind of mindset and the right intervention, the chances of you growing into a leadership position, growing into being a leader, are much higher. You will get advice, you will get inputs from various different quarters, from various different people. But I think the smart leaders are the ones who know which bits of advice to take, which ones to kind of take on board, but perhaps not act on directly. There are several of these threads in different chapters in the book that come out quite strongly. But Jatin, being the actual CEO, might be in a better position to answer that.
Yeah, I
Chetan,
think
what can leaders and CEOs learn from the stories in this book? Learn from your father's life. Learn from other sports people.
sure. So I think when we talk about leadership, I think you need leadership at every level in an organization. You know, you need people to be leading the way for the others to come through. I think that's a thread which has been referred to in the book, the concept of a team. So we've talked about, me as a 7, 8 year old, while the Dada Union team on a Thursday evening discussing strategy for the match on Sunday, and how even the youngest players in the team were invited to contribute their ideas. And I remember it used to be said that no idea is a bad idea. Let's put it on the table, and let's evaluate everything. And no execution strategy is a bad strategy. If you have something in your head, why don't you contribute? And youngsters were being told that think like a captain. So I think that's a huge kind of point which I'd like to make here. That how can leaders help their team members to think like leaders as well, because that's when the multiplier kind of effect comes into play. So that's one big point. The second point is about respecting competition, respecting competitors, respecting opposition. In the Dada Union team, in the Mumbai team, there's always been a very healthy respect for your opposition. I remember my father would say that, the other team hasn't come there to lose. They've come there to win as well. So and you're going there to win. They've come there to win. So let's have a healthy respect. Let's play it hard. Let's play it fair. One of the things which also comes out in the book is the ability to understand, what was instilled in players was that the game is much bigger than you. You are just a cog in the wheel. The game is much bigger than you. So I think that's another. There's so many parallels in this, and we hope that at some stage, we'll do something on the audio format as well, wherein we can reach out to many corporate leaders, just because the sheer adjacency in the way coaches think and the way CEOs think are remarkable.
Beautiful. Now let me shift to some stories in the book.
Sure.
Tell us a bit from, Sachin Tendulkar is written.
Yeah.
By the way, I must tell you, Jatin, I share my birthday with the world's greatest cricketer of all time. Sachin says he's the greatest. It's Sachin's graciousness and his humility, though in my view, Sachin is the greatest, but Sachin says that Australian cricketer is the greatest.
Don Bradman.
Sir Bradman. So me and my daughter share our birthdays with Sir Donald Bradman.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So it's so coming back, tell us some anecdotes from what Sachin Tendulkar says in the book.
Yeah, as far as Sachin goes, there are 2 or 3 which come to mind. One is, when Sachin was being considered for the tour to Pakistan, the crucial game, Dr. Batra, was the Irani Trophy match versus Bombay, between Bombay and rest of India. And Sachin's father was very, very superstitious, and he would never go and watch Sachin bat. So that one morning when Sachin was batting overnight, my father went to Sachin's house, put Sachin's dad in my dad's car. We had a 1955, Dukkar Fiat at that time. He put him into the car and he said, come on, we are going to the game. And he said, no, I can't come to the game, because if I come there, then, he will get out. So he said, Professor Tendulkar, there is nothing like that. If what you are saying was true, then every school in Mumbai would have made you their principal, because everybody wants to get Sachin out. So don't worry about that. You come along, and Sachin scored 100 that day, and he's penned in the book that was just once out of 2 occasions when his father actually saw him bat. So he's extremely grateful for Sir to drive in the opposite direction to Bandra and then drive to Wankhede from there to get his father to watch the game. The other incident is again around the selection time for the Pakistan tour. When the selectors thought that Sachin's too small to go to Pakistan and face Imran Khan and Wasim Akram and Waqar Yunus, and they said कि ये छोटा है, इसको ball लगेगा. So my father reportedly, not reportedly, I remember him telling Mr. Raj Singh Dungarpur on the phone that tell your colleagues that Vasu is recommending this case very strongly, because ये लगने वाला player नहीं है, ये लगाने वाला player है. So that's another story in the book where which was pivotal. So how he gave these crucial moments, a texture of humor as well. Comes across as a
It
commonality.
also says you got to spot talent early. You got to believe it. And your father's done what classically in management theory is growth is an opportunity of growth is a function of opportunity. It is not just a function of talent. So someone has to spot that opportunity and put you upfront to be able to showcase your talent. So
Absolutely.
I think your father was a great talent, catcher, so to say.
And I'll tell you one more incident actually, and after that I think Anand has a couple as well. I'll tell you one more incident about Sachin. So as Sachin started playing for Bombay, and I remember Dilip Vengsarkar was captain of India at that time, and my father kept telling him that Dilip, you please allow Sachin to bat in the India nets. You guys are coming to Bombay in a couple of months. You'll have a game against I think West Indies it was. You please allow Sachin to bat in the Bombay nets. And Mr. Vengsarkar said, no, I've heard about him, but it will be wrong of me to allow him to bat, and he's too small. The same thing that he'll get hurt. So he convinced Dilip, saying that no, he's not going to get hurt. And to your point, Dr. Batra, talking about talent meeting opportunity. This was the 10 minutes where Sachin says in the book that these 10 minutes helped him accelerate his improvement as a player. Because suddenly he was playing Kapil Dev and Maninder Singh and Chetan Sharma and all these guys in the nets, and he walked away saying, "Yeah, I know now where I need to improve." And the other thing which it did was it got the great Kapil Dev to have a look at Sachin. So when the time came, he had the right people to nod their head in the right direction for him to get into the team. So I think the point which you made was it's so apt that here was a man who gave talent that opportunity and then made sure that some kind of strategic plan was in play to set that opportunity, to set that talent up for success. I think what he really excelled at was identifying talent and setting it up for success.
Beautiful. Anand, your anecdotes from the book, whether it's around Anil Kumble or other cricketers.
I was going straight on Anil Kumble, in fact, because Sachin Tendulkar and Anil Kumble, their trajectories were so different. As Anil has later said, Sachin spent his whole career proving people right, while Anil spent his career proving his critics wrong. Because when somebody saw a young Tendulkar, they could see in him, it was possible to see that this one is going to be a special cricketer. But a young Anil Kumble was not that obvious. He was a bit of an all-rounder that time when he was 16, 17, lanky, tall, not exactly the kind of build you would expect for a leg spinner. And in his early interactions, he recalls how, the first time he met Vasu sir, he told him certain things about the basics of spin bowling. Not got to do with trying to make him turn the ball big like a conventional leg spinner, not trying to introduce 3-4 variations early on, but just the basics. And Anil used to carry a diary at that time in his back pocket. So he says he actually wrote down everything that Vasu sir told him then, and he would refer to it later on. Even when after he becoming an established Ranji Trophy cricketer, after playing for India, at a time when he needed to go back to just the basics, when what are the things that matter, leaving out everything else that doesn't matter, he would refer to these things. Anil also interestingly wrote letters to Vasu sir when he was a youngster, telling him, I've got selected in college now I had jaundice, so I missed out on cricket, things like that. There are these things in the book. It shows you a side to Anil Kumble that you perhaps don't see otherwise. Now he himself has moved on so much. He's coaching teams. He's transitioned from being that youngster wanting to play cricket to being a coach himself. The book has many of these anecdotes.
Tell us about Rohit Sharma. Tell us about Virat Kohli. What do they say?
So I think Rohit again was a really interesting story. At that time, the entire talent vortex of Mumbai cricket was around Shivaji Park, Matunga. That was the talent vortex. But over the last 10-15 years, you're seeing a bulk of the team come from the northern part of Mumbai, the suburbs, Borivali, Malad, Andheri. And Rohit Sharma is a Borivali boy, basically, and when he came into the under 17 team, he was a bit of an outlier, but when dad saw him at the nets, he knew very quickly that this is something special happening here. So there's a story in the book wherein Prashant Nayak, who was the captain of the Bombay under 17 team, and today Prashant and Rohit are the closest of friends. Prashant Nayak goes up to Rohit Sharma and says, "Hey, I've never seen you before. I don't even know who you are. But Vasu sir says that you should that you should play in the 11. And he says that you have to bat at number 4. So you're batting at number 4 tomorrow." And then he scores 100, and you know how things start happening for him there. And he also...
I have to bring my son to your dad.
Yeah,
12.
Yeah, good age actually. So Rohit's story was around that, and I think Rohit has also said in the book that even today, when he's at the crease, sometimes he has flashbacks of what Vasu sir would want him to do at that particular moment in time. He spoke to Rohit about the importance of thinking as a captain, and that if you were the captain of this team, what would you want out of Rohit Sharma? Is a question which you should ask yourself. I think I can see some inspirational pieces of captaincy from Rohit. I can see the where they're emanating from. You can see that signature. I've seen it a few times.
Now let's change gears. Yeah, go ahead, Anand.
Sorry, just to add to that on the Rohit Sharma bit, there's also something else very interesting that Rohit says. He says that when you're on the field and you're the captain of the side, if you have to look to the scoreboard to figure out what the game position is, you've already kind of missed the bus. As a captain, you need to be thinking about where you want to be 2 overs from now, 5 overs from now, 10 overs from now. That may or may not happen, because in sport, multiple variables are involved. Irrespective of what you plan, it may not happen that way, but you need to know where you want to go. And this is something that he says that Vasu sir taught him, and it has helped him even when he has become an international cricketer, to think, to try and stay ahead of the game, to try and control the tempo of the game rather than just reacting to what's happening.
Fantastic. Now let me shift gears and let me ask you about what your dad says about various cricketers and his anecdotes and his wisecracks.
Yeah, so he's what you call a cricket tragic. He is you said you share your birthday with Sir Don Bradman, but and Sir Don Bradman and Frank Worrell are two absolute gods for my father. In fact, one of the first books I've ever read in my life was a biography of DGB by Irvin Rosenwater. So clearly the influence was Frank Worrell, going to Australia with that West Indian team, and as they left Australia, there were 50,000 people, waving the motorcade away. So how he built bridges between cultures, and he just wasn't a captain of a cricketing team. That's one piece which I've heard my father talk about quite a lot. And Don Bradman, surely for his confidence in his ability. Not many people know this incident, but before he actually made his test debut, he came on as 12th man in the previous test match. And he was fielding on the boundary line, and he threw a ball which went past, the English batsman, very senior English batsman, and it just whisked past his nose. So at the end of the over, the English batsman asked Don Bradman that, "Son, were you trying to hit me?" And Don Bradman replied, "No, sir, I wasn't, because if I try, I don't miss." So that was the kind of audacity and confidence which he had. And then surely the numbers were crazy. So Don Bradman, Frank Worrell, Rohan Kanhai became a great friend of my father. He was very fond of Rohan Kanhai. Vinu Mankad was a huge favorite of his. Vijay Hazare, Mushtaq Ali. So
these are all legends.
All
really,
legends. All legends.
The best Indian cricketers we've produced in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
They all had their own character, different characters, but they had their own personality.
Yes.
So, so I'd love to meet your dad sometime, and I have an idea for you. I'm saying I'd invite you to write a fortnightly column on lessons from cricket for Businessworld, because I mean, there's just this lesson on confidence.
Yeah.
I mean, and look at then Sir Donald Bradman's record. I mean,
Exactly.
Sachin is Sachin's gracefulness that
Yeah.
he says Sir Donald Bradman is the greatest cricketer. But
Yeah.
I mean, he was the greatest cricketer of that time, I would say. Still, to score that many centuries at that run rate in the style he scored, is clearly the greatest. But Sachin could be the greatest cricketer. I mean, it's Sachin's modesty. When I ask this, a lot of people ask me, when's your birthday? The world's greatest cricketer. So most people say Sachin. Most people.
Yeah.
And I say, no, it's not Sachin. It's not an Indian. And say Brian Lara.
Yeah.
No, not Brian Lara. And it goes on. And then some people have their favorites. But now let me, we speak in the backdrop of IPL being there, IPL being held in Dubai. It's a spectator-less sport.
Yeah.
Right? I keep saying, Anand and Jatin, that we live in a 3C economy, and I'd make it 4C. The 3 C's are compassion and caring, collaborative and contactless. And the fourth real C is cricket. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us, how's IPL this year? What's your sense? What's good? What's not good?
So I think the fact that the tournament is happening is fantastic from many angles. I think commercially, obviously, I don't need to elaborate why it's important that the tournament needs to happen. But I think it's a huge morale booster for Indians as well. You know, because suddenly your evenings you have something to look forward to straight away. And not only for just your spirits, but I was talking to a friend of mine who runs a food tech company, and a week before the IPL, he was saying, Jatin, now abhi maza aayega, you know, because IPL will start and all
People will order food. So IPL is an economy multiplier.
Absolutely, and not many people know, Dr. Batra, that if it had been in India. So just a small example I'll give you, that what a economic ecosystem this has turned into. So during the course of an IPL, there are at least 400 to 500 small cab rental companies which get business because of the IPL. 4 to 500, because it's not only the players, it's not only production, it's not only commentary, it's not only marketing. You know, the wheels are turning in India around that time. So that's great that is happening. But just from a cricket perspective, I think the teams will be struggling a little bit, because you know, players are undercooked.
But at least the players are playing.
Absolutely.
I mean, at the end of this, Sachin didn't want to be this huge icon. He just wanted to play cricket, and he played it well. Absolutely. Everything else was a blessing or a sideshow, so to say. Money, accolades, fame, member of parliament, so on and so forth. Right? So I think it's a great point that you make. Anand, what is your view?
Yeah, I think I would agree largely with what Jatin said. It's, sometimes the major financial pluses of the IPL are very obvious to everyone: the broadcast deals, the players who get the big money, the crores and crores. But it's not just that. There is a lot more that happens around the IPL that creates economic activity and creates benefit for a range of people. And for some of these younger cricketers, you look at this year, the domestic season is all but wiped out. There's very little chance of recreating a bio bubble across grounds in the length and breadth of our country at this time. So for some of them, the IPL maybe they are only income for the whole year, and it's not an easy situation for people to be in. I think from a viewer perspective, it certainly makes a difference to have the tournament. I can see how the conversation has changed around me in the last 15 days from then to now. People are talking about cricket. People are talking about IPL. People are talking about their team. There are various different ways in which the IPL kind of has become a part of our mental space for 2 months in the year. To not have that would have been just one more disruption that's been caused by this pandemic. Now, uh, naturally, playing cricket is not the be all and end all. It is not going to solve any problems. It is not going to cure anything in this current situation. But as long as the tournament goes on as it has been so far, in with care, with um, enough caution being taken, um, the benefits can still accrue. Even though the tournament's being played in the UAE, there's still good things that can come out of it.
Okay. My last two questions to both of you. Again, technology has become such an important part of everything. We are doing this through a video technology. What are the changes that cricket is likely to see over the next 3-5 years on account of technology and overall things changing? Anand, first you, and then Jatin. Yes, Anand.
I think the primary difference that we've had to go through with technology through this whole COVID-19 period is that you don't let geography get in the way of you doing something. Previously, a young boy in interior Tamil Nadu would go to the nearest district city. From there, he would go to Madras if he wanted to grow in a cricketing pathway, or similarly in any other state. But today, it has become more of a norm for both coaches and students to work around the distance. Previously, you would not have got on a Zoom call to address a batting difficulty if you had one. What this does is open up things in some sense, because it now means that a Vasu Paranjpe kind of coach is accessible to somebody in Chennai, in Kashmir, in Orissa, anywhere, where previously the chance of that happening would be very less. There is an acceptance that we need to embrace certain forms of technology. Previously, there was a resistance. You think I've been doing this the same way so many years. Why should I learn now how to get on a Zoom call? That was the kind of mental attitude, especially of people of a certain generation. But now, everyone is using technology as though they've been doing it all their lives. In a very short period of time, people have been able to adapt. People who thought that they could not adapt, that how will I do this? I don't even use a computer. How will I do this? They are all using computers. They're using their phones. So I think the attitude towards technology has shifted a little bit, and that's the greatest benefit.
Jatin?
So I think you've got to look at it through several lenses. One is if you look at it from the players and the coaches lens. As Anand said, coaches now know that technology has an integral part to play in their entire coaching activity. So for example, nutrition and video analysis, all of that will be done only remotely. Earlier coach and student would come together and watch that video. Now they're just watching it from two separate corners of the city, but still having the same outcome. So I think coaches and players will be impacted. I think parents as well will be impacted by this, because of technology, they will find easier ways of identifying coaches, easier way of getting their kids into coaching. That's one piece. There's obviously broadcast technology. I feel that baseball and cricket are very similar. There's lots happening in baseball technology right now in terms of sensors on wind monitoring and wind speed monitoring, which could give teams a leg up if they decide to license out that particular technology. Imagine two sensors, one on either side of the Wankhede Stadium, monitoring what time the tide is going to come in and what kind of wind it's going to bring in, and what impact that will have in a T20 toss, for example. Should they bat first or should they bowl first? So there's some interesting stuff happening there as well. So I think then there's the entire fan engagement piece. I think what technology has brought about is it's enabled businesses like fantasy sports. Technology has enabled a completely new bucket and a business line which has come on. So today, for example, Dream 11 is one of the biggest it's the latest unicorn amongst Indian startups, and that's only around the fantasy part of it. So I think there's an innate desire in every Indian to be involved in sport, and I think technology is going to break that barrier down, and it's going to make that very linear and very short. That journey for an Indian to sport was circuitous earlier on. Now technology is going to make that journey very, very linear.
Thank you so much. My last question to both of you. I could go on. This is the most fun webinar I've done. Normally talk of growth, sales, revenues, go-to-market. But this is the only business question I have. Jatin, you're also an entrepreneur, apart from being a cricket aficionado, so to say. When cricket is in your blood, possibly, you could say that. And Anand, same for you. I mean, you're a sports writer by choice. So you're a creative entrepreneur. He's a creative entrepreneur. He's an entrepreneur. I want to know, in COVID times, what is the new mindset that you've acquired as an entrepreneur, as a creative entrepreneur? What is different, Jatin, post-COVID as an entrepreneur?
I think, in one word, patience. Patience. Like they say, Shraddha and Saburi.
I'm a big Sai Baba bhakt. In fact, I write Om Sai Ram. I've been ticked off by some people that, in professional conversations, you shouldn't write Ram Ram, Om Sai Ram. I mean, honestly, I don't know what is the problem, but okay, because someone ticked me off, so I say hi, but mostly I say Om Sai Ram or Ram Ram. So Shraddha or Saburi. Shraddha is patient and Saburi is, faith. Sabr. Shraddha is faith and Saburi is patience. Right?
So as an entrepreneur, why do you start a business? You see an opportunity. So your faith is very high, right? And then then people talk about tenacity. But I think patience is the new tenacity today.
Resilience.
Resilience, So for example, to draw Anil Kumble's, to draw Anil Kumble's example here. What does Anil Kumble do? He keeps coming at you ball after ball after ball after ball.
Same consistency.
Yes, and if you miss, he's going to hit you because he's not going to get tired. Steve Waugh said that's the best sledging in the world. When somebody just keeps coming at you ball after ball. So I think that's something which, as an entrepreneur, you need to embrace, saying I'm going to be patient. And come what may, I'm going to make this through. And then you also need to look at your team, because as an entrepreneur, as a tech entrepreneur, as a non-engineering entrepreneur in a tech business, you need to make sure that there are 2-3 functions of your organization which don't shake up, in the meantime. So you need to keep the spirits up for the rest of your team. You need to be buoyant, but not overly kind of outgoing, because you need to be watching your business all the time. So 2 things which I would like to say is, one is patience, and second is, think like a kirana shop owner, that what have I made in the evening? Mere galle mein kitna aa gaya aaj ka taking? That these 2 things I've been trying to imbibe into myself, and also trying to get my team to believe in it.
Okay, beautiful. I believe both those, and I've started practicing both those. Anand, for you as a creative entrepreneur who does content, who writes, what is the change in your consciousness?
Well, I think there's 2 things to this. When you're working in a creative kind of space, there is one section of work we do where you're just servicing a demand. Well, that demand could change for factors that nobody can predict. Even forward-thinking, visionary people can't predict certain things. So there are times, I think, in which you have to trust in the quality of the product that you produce itself. And you have to, while catering to demand, while working around changing demand, have faith in the quality of the product that you produce. I think that's been one of the big lessons that this whole trying period has taught us.
Beautiful. I could go on. This is the most fun conversation I'm having. But for those of you who want to revisit those anecdotes and learnings, you can watch this on the YouTube channel of BW Business World, or read it on the next issue of BW Business World, or read it on businessworld.in tomorrow morning when Abhay writes a story on this. So thank you, Jatin and Anand, for writing the book and for today's conversation. I have lots of ideas that I will engage you on and with, and I wish your book all the best. It's a treat to read, so I would encourage all of you to read it. And Deepak, if you can once again show the cover of the book, Cricket Drona, it will be of value to our readers. Deepak and Mayank, the cover of the book, Cricket Drona.
Thank you, Dr. Batra. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to reading it fully.
Sure.
Normally, before a BW dialogue, I read the whole book, and my life is about reading books. I love, that's the only hobby I have. And so, you know, I'm a book aficionado, or a book alcoholic, and so is my daughter. We share the birthday. We just discovered my best friend's birthday and her best friend's birthday also on the same day. So I told my daughter, Prarthana, you have to stop copying me. Just don't lose hair now. Everything else is okay, right? So, but yes, books are my life, and you know, books can change lives, and whatever little I have achieved in my life, I owe a lot to the books. So God bless you. All the best.
Please let us know what you think of the book.
Yes, I will. I have not read it, and I will not. That's why I was doing that conversation too.
Sure.
But I will definitely read it over the next 10 odd days, and I will. I'm sure I'll enjoy it, but nevertheless, I'll tell you what I enjoyed more. Okay.
Thank
so
you
all
so
the
much.
best. God bless you. Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.